up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome back to the Nerdy Narrative. I am here with a new weekly wrap-up. All of the things that I read, what I'm still working on, and what I plan to read next. Well, I can't tell you everything. I'm working on a secret project which turned out to be just as hard as I thought it was going to be. I have been about to die to talk about some of these books, whether I liked them, didn't like them. One I loved, it was just a surprise, and let me just go ahead and cut myself off there before I spill the beans, before I can make that video for you all. In other news, I did get my second channel off the ground this week, Leslie Smith Vlogs. I'll have it linked down in the description below if you're interested. These will be vlogs that are not bookish centered. There's going to probably be reading happening during them because every time I go to like Disney World, Universal, SeaWorld, I have a book on deck. Whether I'm listening to the audiobook, walking through the park, standing in line, I've always got my Kindle reading. The main focus is something other than books, so I made a second channel for that. So if you're interested, link is in the description down below for that. On to what I read this week. I finished one of my secret project books, loved it. DNF'd the second one, which was a bit of a shock to me because that is totally a genre that I normally read and enjoy. And I am dangerously close to DNFing a third book in that series, but something just happened when I was listening to it this morning getting ready to film that might reel me in. This might finally be, it's just dragging. We've learned that our character's in a situation, we've learned how they got into that situation and just how to deal with being in that situation, and then we're just kind of going on and on and on, and I'm like, can something happen? Something else. Give me some excitement. I may have met a character that's going to do that. We'll find out. I also started and finished We Love to Entertain by Sarah Strohmeyer. This was an arc that I got off of NetGalley, and I believe this one releases at the end of this month or either 1st of May. It's a one and done kind of thing, no reread capability. This one is about a reality TV show. It's a competition to the manor build. First up, the name of the show was awkward. To the manor build. It just didn't fit, and it was just so stumbling to read. When they would call it TMB for short, that worked much better. That is such a small detail to get hung up on. So we have a team that we're focusing on in this story. They're renovating a home in Vermont. One member of the team bought it super cheap at a tax sale, and of course that one is the money, and the other person on the team is the one who does all of the design work. So we have Holly and Robert. Well, these two fall in love while they're working together. And of course the show is really focusing on that because it is a competition. They're up against two other teams, and that's sort of their shtick, their love story. They're very cute. Our main character, however, is their assistant, Erica, who is a local to the town where they're renovating this home. We get the story from her point of view and also Erica's mother, Kim. As you will find out by reading the back of the book, and in the first couple of chapters, Holly and Robert go missing. But we don't know if they're missing because they have a shotgun wedding, and are they on their honeymoon? Like, what's going on? So there's this whole mystery of, are they missing? Are they not missing? Some other strange things are happening. It's a very predictable, familiar trope in the thriller world, and that's okay. I love those tropes. That's why I picked this one up. That's why it appealed to me. What I'm not used to is actually figuring it out. I figured this one out very early on, so then it's just about the execution. Are they going to be able to surprise me with what's going on? There was like one surprise and there was a little bit of humor. Was I wowed? No. Was it okay? Yes. This is one I would absolutely recommend getting from your library if you're interested in, just in case. I also picked up my nonfiction essay by Joan Didion for this month. It's called Los Angeles Notebook. The first part of the essay was extremely interesting. It was all about the Santa Ana wind. I'd never heard of these winds before. I didn't know it was a thing. It made me want to read up on it, which I always enjoy when an author is able to pique my curiosity for me to do my own research and learn more about the subject. Now, the other parts that came after that just didn't fit. They were just random accounts that she didn't even try to tie in with the first part of the essay. But as I have said many, many times with Joan, she either hits on all cylinders for me or I'm going, what? I have Death Mask here by Jim Butcher. I thought I finished this one last week when I talked to y'all, but I might have been just about to finish. I loved it. 5 stars, however many stars there are in the world, give them all to this book. This one is a favorite. It's in my top 3. Maybe my top. Nah, no. Changes definitely trumps that one. But it might be my number 2 as far as top favorites of the series. I'll have to do a ranking when I finish this reread. That's all that I finished. What am I still working on? Well, I did read the first short story in James Flynn's newest collection coming out, A Bunch of Fives, and I absolutely loved it. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big fan of Bigfoot. I was fascinated with Bigfoot when I was little. Of course, that might have something to do with Harry and the Hendersons, that movie. I also read the book when I was a kid and just loved it. And when I started looking into Bigfoot as a kid because of that movie and that book, I discovered that this is not a lovable creature. This is actually a creature of legend that strikes a lot of fear, and most of the stories are actually horror stories. All of that did was double down on my fascination for this creature. So in this one, we have Eric, who talks his Australian mate Mac into going with them to an island in Vietnam. There has been a video circulating online for many years about a sighting of Bigfoot. Of course, it's shaky, it's grainy, but rumor has it there's this one island in Vietnam where this was taken, and Eric has decided he and Mac are gonna go check it out. And what they find, it's up to you, the reader, to decide. Is this Bigfoot? Is this something else? All I can tell you is Eric and Mac were completely shocked at what they did find, as well as me. I would have never in a million years have seen that one coming. It was fascinating. I wanted to look away. I couldn't look away. Oh my goodness. It's just, I knew James Flynn could pull this type of story off. I've read another collection of his, The Hand That Pulls You Under. That collection, I fell in love with the author's writing style, just the ambiance, the suspense, the atmosphere that this guy can write is just amazing. It just, you feel that you are there. You feel what's happening on these pages. It just permeates. It pulls you in. Like, you feel like you're there. You're looking over the shoulder of these characters, and it's so creepy. Even when the curtains pull back and you see like what's really going on, it's still creepy no matter how mundane it seems. I don't know how to explain it other than that. Y'all need to pick up a copy of this as soon as it becomes available June 1st. I'll put a pre-order link down in the description below. The author is doing a giveaway for this book and some other items to go along with it. I'll have that link down in the description below as well. And while we are talking about short story collections, I also started the new one by Damon Manx, Manxiety. That one comes out at the end of the month. I want to say April 27th. That date is the one that feels right to me. It just popped in my head, so I think that's the one. I will have a link down in the description below, of course. Wow, this one's amazing. Another author I've read before and just was blown away by their writing style. These stories are so good. All of the stories in this collection, I've been told, were inspired by real life events. The ones I've read so far, the line between reality and fiction is blurred. It's just done in a way that it's exciting to read about, but even more so when you know that it's based on or inspired by something that actually happened to this author throughout his life at some point. And the first four, I think I've read 4 so far by date of filming. I'm debating on what to tell you about each of them. I've been doing a little mini review every day on Instagram and posting it, a couple of thoughts about it, a mini review, or perhaps a quote from the story. Head down to the description box below and you'll find my Instagram handle so you can go check that out. And of course, I'll be doing a written review once I finish the collection, but they have just been amazing so far. I've loved everything I've written by this author so far. And then the last thing that I have started reading and I'm working on is The Crew by Sadir S. Samir. And this book, it's great. It is so great. I have heard so many people say it's so much fun. It's a great time. They're all right. I have been laughing my tail off reading this book. And while you are laughing, there's a lot of humor, but it's not so much that it drowns out the fact that there is a story happening here. So don't let all of us saying how fun and how much laughing we're doing, don't let us make you think it's silly and not a serious story, because there absolutely is a serious story here. I'm not far in, but I am picking up on something traumatic has happened to our main character, and I think we're going to get that information piecemeal throughout the story or perhaps the series. But I'm excited to read more and finish this one and find out. And then what will I read next? Well, I am so glad that you asked, because I am going to be reading Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. The audiobook came in from my library a few days ago, so I'm going to be immersion reading this one. And then It has finally happened. Y'all have heard me put this book on my TBR since January of this year. I have it. I finally have book 2 in the Tragedy of Sedan series, Buzzard's Bowl by John Palladino, on my Kindle right here within reach, because as soon as I finish The Crew by Sadira Samir, I am going to be immediately starting Buzzard's Bowl. I'm almost tempted. I wish I had the time to reread The Trials of Ashmount, even though I just read it a few months ago and I've been talking about it with my friends. I remember what happens in that book. I love that book. I love some of the characters. I wish I had the time, but I don't. And I don't think I could. I want to read Buzzard's Bowl so bad that I don't think I would be able to halt for a reread of the first book. I just don't. Buzzard's Bowl is quite the chunker. I want to say it's either 700 pages or 800 pages. It's a chunk. I don't believe I'm going to get through The Crew, Nettle and Bone, and Buzzard's Bowl by next week to have room to start something else. But if I do, it will be the Shadow Rising Book 4 in the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. This is the one that we are on with the read-along that is hosted by the Literary Apothecary. I will put that down in the description below. We've been having live streams for each of the books at the end of the month. So if you're interested in hearing a couple of first-time readers talk about the series with a couple of rereaders, definitely check those out. And that is going to wrap us up for this week as far as everything that I read and am reading and plan to read next. What have you been reading this week? Did you do anything fun? Tell me one fun thing you did this week. One new fun thing. Did you try anything new this week? Did I try anything new this week? I didn't. I can't think of anything new that I've tried for the first time. I'm going to change that. When I come back here next week, I'm going to have tried something new. What will it be? You'll have to tune in and find out. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.